Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today we're going to be doing it, if you like this, try this, October edition. So I hope you're all enjoying my October videos. I just had so many ideas and I just wanted to do them because I get very excited about books, as you can probably tell if you've been watching my channel for any length of time. So yes, so I love doing these videos. I did one a few weeks ago and then I did one in May time, so I'll leave them linked in the description. But I just love this kind of idea because I feel like if you like one kind of book then you might like this one, and it's just fun to find new ideas to read. So hopefully you get some inspiration from this video, and yeah, so let's just get started. Okay, so the first one is If You Like Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, and you could like the TV show not having read the book. Then you might like Library of the Unwritten by AJ Hackworth. So yeah, so first of all, I just love this cover. But these books really remind me of each other. It's in tone, as well as kind of just general plot and chaos. They're both very kind of chaotic books. Yeah, in this one we're following these kind of a devil and an angel, and then they misplace the Antichrist, and then they have to try and hunt him down, and then there's the apocalypse going on, and it's all a bit crazy. And then in this one there's this library in hell where all unwritten books ever are, and one of the characters from one of the books escapes, this hero guy who's very much the kind of handsome hero. And then we follow the main librarian, Claire, and she tries to hunt down this hero guy, and then they sort of end up embroiled in this big mess. And she teams up with Hero and then this other guy called Leto, who's this demon anxiety. He's like Wendell but in a teenager form. And yeah, I love Leto, he's so cute. And she also has her assistant Brevity, and Brevity is a great character as well. She's the kind of everything you aspire to be, that this is effortlessly cool. And yeah, so it's just a really fun crew of characters, following them on their kind of chaotic adventures. And just the setting is kind of they're both kind of quite good October reads, because it's the kind of hell and the demons and just the kind of atmosphere. So yeah, so I'd highly recommend these two. Okay, and then next we have, so this book is going to be featured in basically every single one of these videos, but if you like Red Rising then you might like Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. So I feel these two books, especially the first, so especially Red Rising, they're very similar in terms of they're kind of, the overarching world is a sci-fi world, but then in the books we're narrowing down on these characters and we're following them in sort of a competition type thing. So in Red Rising we followed Darrow, and he sort of infiltrates the Golds, and it goes to this training academy thing, which is where they go under a banner, so a Greek god. I think Darrow's under Ares, I believe. I might be just making that up. Is it Ares? I feel like it's Ares, because the god of war, or Mars. Anyway, so yeah, and then they have this tournament and they all have to fight together and stuff. Have in Gideon the Ninth, and so Gideon and then her charge. No, so Gideon's a bodyguard / cavalier to Harrowhark, who's a kind of high priestess of her house. And there's these 9 houses, and then each of the 9 houses have to go to this competition thing where they're all trying to find the secrets of this thing called lictorhood, which is kind of a level up, I guess, of this necromancy world. So it's lictors are kind of almost half gods type things, and the lictors very much remind me of the Golds from Red Rising. It's in the second book as well, Harrow the Ninth. The kind of, there's this Harrow is kind of, she's going with these other so she's going with the God Emperor and then these other kind of lictors, and they remind me a lot of the Golds. I was just thinking that the whole time while reading, and just the whole kind of different houses and the politics between them. I think they're very similar, so I feel if you like one you'll probably like the other. I feel they're kind of different in tone. Red Rising's much darker, whereas Gideon, it's kind of dark, but also it's there's kind of a lot of humour, and Gideon's a very kind of sarcastic and funny protagonist, whereas Darrow's so that was a really terrible impression, but you get what I mean. So yes, so that's that one. And then next we have, so kind of a fae, creepy woods type vibes. So if you like The Cruel Prince, then you might like Silver in the Wood, which is a novella, and it's a really good novella. Like I'm like very fussy with novellas, but I really love Silver in the Wood, and it's kind of following this tale of, there's this guy who sort of lives in the woods in his little hut, and he's like guardian of the woods almost. And then this new guy moves into like a mansion, and he sort of is like trying to investigate the woods, but the woods are very like deadly to outsiders. And then they sort of start interacting, and there's this like whole legend of the forest, and this like monster that's like, I don't know if he's eating people or like trying to find a replacement for himself. It's been like, it's gone out of my memory now, but anyway, just the whole is, I think the main thing is the atmosphere, and if you like the kind of like creepy like fae in the woods, and like very like I don't know what the word is, like dark forest. I'm not explaining this well, but I feel like just the kind of like atmosphere is really, really like October-y, and like if you were reading this with like a cup of tea and it's raining outside, like the trees are blowing in the wind, and oh, it would just be great. So yeah, I'd highly recommend that one. Then next we have the kind of like dark city type books. So I'm really clumsy, and the amount of times I've bashed books into there is ridiculous. Okay, so if you like Six of Crows, you might like Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. So these ones, I feel like sometimes comparing books to Six of Crows does books a disservice, because they are different, and you're not, I don't think, expect like a replica of Six of Crows, but I feel like if you like one, you probably like the other. In terms of tone, they're quite similar, so they're both kind of following this like dark city, but this one is kind of almost like Las Vegas type city, and I feel like the characters are quite different. The characters in this one are almost a bit softer, but they're also in some ways like worse. I don't know. So in this one we're following N, and she's kind of raised in this finishing school, and then she goes to the city of, what's it called, New Rains, which is very much Las Vegas-y, and there she kind of befriends this like, he's not really a crime lord, Levi, he's a mess. No, he's running these like schemes, and so Levi tries to help her like look for her missing mother. And they get sort of embroiled in like the city politics, obviously. And there's this mysterious like shadow game which kind of kills its players. And there's a lot of stuff to do with like cards and like card dealing. And I feel like you get that in Six of Crows, like Kaz, and they're kind of running the like card show. But there's not really a heist or anything in this book. It's more like they're going around the city trying to like solve where her mother's gone missing. But I think if you like one, you'll like the other. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I would highly recommend both of them. And I recently finished this series as well. The newest book just came out, Queen of Vaults. And I loved that one so much. It was such a fantastic conclusion. And I feel like in this book, we're following kind of N and Levi, who are the two main characters. But as the series goes on, you start following like more characters, and you get the whole cast. And it's quite like, you get more storylines, and it becomes all more complex, and it's just really good. And I think the like plot weaving, especially in like Crooked Kingdom and then the later books in this series, I feel like are done so well. So that's another kind of almost similarity. So that's those two. Okay, then I feel like I might have said this one in my first, if you like this, you might like this. But I feel like they're very like October reads, another kind of like dark forest type one. So I'm including it again, just in case you missed that one. So that is, if you like Three Dark Crowns, then you might like Queens of Innislia. So these two books are so similar, but I feel like they really highlight well the difference between YA and adult. So like Three Dark Crowns is YA and Queens of Innislia is adult, and so they're very similar like in terms of kind of the characters, because you have like three sisters who are all trying to like vie for this crown, and like settings, because they're on this like island which is like quite magical and like spooky and foresty. And but then like I feel like the focuses are slightly different. So in Three Dark Crowns, I would say it's almost like the plot's more fast moving, and the kind of, there's like these like passionate romances. I don't know, it's just everything that's good about YA, and just the kind of like character drama and all that. Like, yeah, it's really good. And then in Queens of Innislia, it's much kind of slower and more lyrical, and kind of more like, I don't know, not philosophical, but more like contemplative, I think is the word I'm looking for. And yeah, so I think it just highlights the difference as well. But if you like one, then you'll probably like the other. Although Queens of Innislia is like it's slow. I had to listen to the audiobook to like get through it, but I feel like the audiobook is fantastic, by the way, and I feel like if you just want that kind of like atmospheric, like kind of island, like slightly creepy, like autumnal vibes, and these kind of three characters who are very much sort of in conflict with each other and kind of witchy almost, these like three sisters. And so Queens of Lear, I believe, is a King Lear retelling, although of Shakespeare, but I've never read or watched King Lear, so I don't know what that's about. But so if you like sisters in competition with each other or kind of vying for the throne and like plotting against each other, then I think you would like either of these. So yes. Okay, so the next one. I'm a bit hesitant to do this one, but I feel like I just have to include it because I don't know why. So, but I'm including a huge caveat because, so the book that is going to be like, if you like this, that's going to be ACOTAR, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, which I feel like is controversial anyway. But I just really love that series. It's kind of a bit, it's like, I don't use the term guilty pleasure in like a negative way. I think it's just the kind of thing that you read and like it's fun. You're not reading it for like intense literary analysis. You're just reading it for like a good time. And the first one is my favourite, but I do love that series, like Akamath and Akawar, whatever it's called. So yeah. But then the book that I'm going to recommend for it, I like the first one, but do not, and I repeat, do not continue with the series. Read book one as if it's a standalone and just do not carry on because, yes, just no. Okay, so yeah, so that is A Lesson in Thorns by Sierra Simone. So this book is a bit, it's smutty, is what I'm going to say. And but it's good. It's polyamory as well, which I obviously love. And it's quite like, they're basically having this like festival, which is an orgy basically. But it's really like, it's very like October vibes. Like, so it's set in this kind of gothic manner, and there's these 6 characters like coming together and trying to restore this old library, and they just sort of start doing these like rituals. I don't know why they decide to do them, because they can. But yeah, but I feel like it's very kind of atmospheric, and like, so if you like the kind of things of ACOTAR, like the kind of woods and the like manners and the like smut, then you probably like Lesson in Thorns. But yeah, and the writing is quite like, it's very poetic-y, bordering on pretentious, but yeah, it's still a fun like read if you want something like romance heavy in October. But yeah, do not read the sequel, just don't. Okay, so yeah, that's that one. And then the final one is, if you like The Devouring Grey by Christina Lynn Herman, then you might like The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry. So I recently read an arc of The Ghost Tree, and they are very similar books. Well, they're not really similar, but they are quite similar. So you have this kind of monster, or like in The Devouring Grey, it's like, I think it's just called The Devouring Grey, that kind of takes people, like kidnaps people from the town, and there's this whole mystery surrounding them. And they're both kind of very much like small town, like they're very Stranger Things vibes, I think I get from both of them. So yeah, and so in The Devouring Grey we follow these like 4 characters who are kind of there's like this town, and then the different families like protect the town from the Devouring Grey, and there's all sorts of like drama between them. And then in The Ghost Tree, these girls go missing every year, and but no one, then they sort of disappear from the collective memory, and so no one really knows what's going on. But then these like new characters come into town, and they start realizing that something's up and trying to solve it. And yeah, I just feel like they're both kind of that like creepy small town, like there's a monster in the woods type vibes. So yeah, neither of these books are like an all-time favorite for me, but I feel like if you like one, then you'll really like the other, because they are quite similar. And they do have their flaws, but I feel like they are still like fun reads, especially for like spooky season. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the recommendations in this video. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And me and Boo here, I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you next time.